Everybody to another episode of Nick's Playbook, brought to you by Sleepawire. I am your host, Nick Sumrall, and on today's show, we have a couple of news items from this past week's preseason games. That's right, preseason week 3 is almost in the books. Then, I'll be talking about teams who I believe will have a bounce back in 2018 to fantasy relevance, and teams I'm completely avoiding, whether it's due to the player's ADP on the team, or they just ain't worth my valuable draft pick. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys that a lot of drafts have taken place, but for those of you who still have drafts on the way, please go get yourselves our draft kit, the Draft Genius Draft Kit. That's right. That will help you win your league. It all starts with the draft, so go ahead and get a head start by downloading the Draft Genius Draft Kit. Go get it on sleepawire.com. You don't want to miss out, guys. This is a valuable kit. A lot of more information on sleepwire.com to go get that kit. With that being said, let's jump into the news. First, Odell Beckham Jr. has gotten the extension he's been asking for. 5 years, $95 million with $65 million guaranteed. Whew, that's a lot of cashola. And that's great for him and the Giants as well, locking up a stud wide receiver. He missed out on all of last season, but don't sleep on him this year, guys. He is going to be the guy to get. He's going mostly about the end of the first into the beginning of the second round. His ADP is very valuable right now. So, and with this contract, he's going to be more motivated than ever. I have a feeling we'll be talking about Odell Beckham in a little bit, so I'll save what else I have for him later. Next piece of news is not such happy news. Marquise Lee, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars, suffered a knee injury that will put him on season-ending IR. He is scheduled to have surgery this week. So that means who is going to emerge in this offense as the number one wide receiver? And to be honest, who knows? I mean, listen, this offense is going to start with Leonard Fournette. He's going to be running the ball. He'll be catching the ball. He may end up being their number one receiving threat. But you got guys like Keelan Cole, you got Dede Westbrook, Dante Moncrief, the rookie DJ Clark. If I had to tell you guys one guy that I would take late, it might be Dede Westbrook. That would have to be my guy out of these options. But listen, I'm not reaching for one of them. I'm sure one of them is going to emerge at some point, but I wouldn't expect anything more than them putting up wide receiver 3 numbers with Blake Bortles at the helm. So it's unfortunate because I thought Marquise Lee could have been a nice steal where he was getting drafted, but as far as the other guys, it's going to basically be somebody you're going to grab maybe off of waivers as the season progresses. That's the best advice I can give you guys for now. So with that being said, I've got a lot to talk about with these offenses, so let's just jump into it. Let's start off with the bounce back offenses for the 2018 NFL season. First up, it's not really a surprise. At least I don't think it should be to anybody. But the first team I have up is the New York Giants. Listen, I mean, all of their receiving threats last year got hurt for the most part, leaving basically Evan Ingram and Sterling Shepard to helm the receiving core. Odell Beckham returns. He's going to be healthy, more motivated with the money behind him. You also got the offensive line has improved greatly with the signings of Nate Solder and Will Hernandez, the rookie. I think that really shores up the left side of the line, and that's going to be great news for Eli Manning to get the ball out of his hands a lot faster to his receivers. And then, of course, the addition of the rookie running back sensation Saquon Barkley. You grab the guy number 2 overall. You know you're going to be using him this year. You look at from last year, the Giants finished 31st overall in points per game on offense. So you just have to figure that they have to do better having a healthy Odell Beckham, a healthy Sterling Shepard, and a real threat in the backfield with Saquon Barkley, a better offensive line. So I am really excited about the Giants' potential this year. Let's move on to, excuse me guys, let's move on to my next team. Okay. Another homer alert, just like the last show. Woo, woo. Yeah, it's the Chicago Bears. Okay, hold on. Well, hear me out, because I've got some things to say on that. First things first, they were 29th in points per game and 30th in yards per game. Really can't get much worse than that. I guess they could end up being 32nd, but God, with all the improvements they made this offseason, you think about the receiving corps, they had the worst last year. Now they've added Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, tight end Trey Burton, and draft picks Anthony Miller and preseason stud Javon Wims. You know, with that much improvement, added on to the fact that you already have a stud in Jordan Howard as the lead running back with gadget player Tariq Cohen. I call him gadget player because he's not the type of running back who's going to eat away at Jordan Howard's touches. He's going to be a guy that Matt Nagy is going to use in his offense as somebody to throw all over the place. I think he can be a threat out of the backfield in the receiving game, but he's not going to be somebody that's going to be a between-the-tackles type of runner. I mean, he's elusive enough, quick enough, he can make those kind of plays, but that's not really where he's going to be the most beneficial for this team. It's going to be in the slot. It's just going to be in unique positions that Matt Nagy's going to throw him in. And that's the other thing that makes this offense so much more exciting is the addition of Matt Nagy as the head coach coming from Kansas City last year. We saw what he was able to do as the offensive coordinator with the Chiefs, and Alex Smith had one of his best seasons ever under Matt Nagy last year as the offensive coordinator. And we're going away from the John Fox offense that we saw. That terrible, putrid, nasty offense that just saw some of the worst numbers in Bears franchise history. So it can only go up here from here. So don't worry. I love the skill position players that have been added to the Bears. It's going to be a great offense. It's going to be a better season for you guys who are actually Chicago Bears fans out there and not just here for the fantasy football. So there you go. Now, my last team here for the bounce-back offense is Cleveland Browns. Now, I don't know if that means that they're going to have a significant amount of more wins this season with all the additions they made. I can only imagine you can get only better when you've gone 1-31 in 2 seasons. I mean, they really did make some significant moves when you consider Tyrod Taylor, Jarvis Landry, and Carlos Hyde. They drafted Baker Mayfield as the future and Nick Chubb for the future. I mean, they might contribute depending on Tyrod Taylor's failure. If he doesn't make it, Baker Mayfield could make an impact as early as this season. Nick Chubb will probably make an impact earlier on than Baker Mayfield. So with that being mixed in with Carlos Hyde and Duke Johnson in the backfield, hopefully a healthy and sober Josh Gordon making his return. Look, if you've heard me ever in the past on previous shows talk, I'm not the biggest Josh Gordon believer. I can't hitch my wagon to a guy whose best season was from, at this point, 4 years ago. I just can't. But I do believe in what Jarvis Landry brings. He is their best receiver, regardless of whether Josh Gordon plays or not. He will get the ball. He is so suited for what Tyrod Taylor does. It's just impossible for me to not see the fantasy value there in grabbing a Jarvis Landry. I mean, Tyrod Taylor, I'm not going to say grab him as your first quarterback, but he could be a nice backup bye-week fill-in. He's probably not going to get drafted. He'll probably be a guy that you can grab off of waivers. As far as the backfield's concerned, I like the value for Carlos Hyde this season. According to Fantasy Football Calculator, You can get Carlos Hyde. Let's see. I'm looking now. Carlos Hyde is really down there as far as players from this list. Jeez, I can't even find him on here. Carlos Hyde. No, that can't be right. Carlos Hyde. Oh, here he is. Okay, his ADP's risen up. I was seeing him go around 8th, 9th round in some of my mock drafts, but according to the Fantasy Football Calculator, they have him at the 58th overall. So back end of the 5th round, which is still pretty nice value. He's probably going to be most like your RB3, which is where I would put him. He's got the upside there. I'm a little nervous, though, with him sharing the backfield with Chubb and Johnson. But he should be the early downs guy, which means he'll have that kind of role that can really make or break you as far as maybe a nice flex position guy. Definitely a good bye week fill-in. And don't sleep on tight end David Njoku. His current ADP is the 104th overall pick, landing him in the middle of the 9th round. That's a steal right now. He's got low end tight end 1 upside, in my opinion. So don't be afraid to sleep on the tight end position if that's what you're willing to do. If you're not willing to pay up the prices for guys like Gronk or Travis Kelce, and you want to wait on your tight end position, fill up and load up on the running back and wide receiver position, David Njoku is a guy you can grab real late, and I think you can feel pretty comfortable about having him on your team. All right. Those are my bounce-back offenses. Let's get into my busty offenses. So the first one, it's not going to be a popular one amongst you guys. At least I don't think so, but I have my reasons. It's the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Now look, the last year's Super Bowl champions, great, good for them. That was last season. There's a lot of question marks here. I'm you know what? More than anything, I'm just not comfortable with some of these ADPs. First off, for Zach Ertz, he's going at the 43rd overall pick, the 3rd tight end off the board, and Carson Wentz is going as the 85th overall pick and drafted as the 7th quarterback off the board. So those guys, their ADPs, I'm just not excited for. Zach Ertz last year was a steal where you were getting him for what he did as far as the overall production. And I know he's going to be the center of that offense. He's going to be heavily targeted. Yeah, okay, the beginning of the 4th round isn't that terrible for Zach Ertz, but you're going to see guys most likely reach on him. He's going to be more of a 3rd round kind of pick. If he were dropping down to maybe the 5th round, I'd feel more comfortable. I'm just not a believer of grabbing tight end in the early rounds. That's just me, though. I believe in loading up and getting your starting 2 running backs and 2 wide receivers before thinking about any other position. I don't always stick to that because sometimes the value is just too good to pass up on. But Zach Ertz isn't one of those guys that I'm willing to throw my logic out the window for. Excuse me. So, with that being said, Zach Ertz is one of those guys. Carson Wentz, 7th quarterback off the board, and we don't even know if he's going to play Week 1. Yeah, signs are pointing up that he might, but I'm not buying it. I think it's a lot of coach speak. I think that I just can't see him playing in Week 1. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be completely off. But even if he does, this offense, it just spreads the ball around so much that I'm just not seeing anybody other than Zach Ertz really emerge as a fantasy option to run with throughout the season that's going to be consistent. And that's what I like. I like grabbing guys that it can be consistent week in, week out. I think we all do. I'm not alone on that. But that's the kind of guy I'm going for, unless you're in a best ball league, I guess. Those are the only ones that you're like, yeah, I'll take my chances on these boomer bust guys. And that's what Alshon Jeffrey, who, if he's even going to be healthy by week 1, would be. And then Nelson Aguilar. Same thing. He's boomer bust. You know, I don't think there's really any consistency in these guys' games that makes you go, wow, I need to have them on my team. Even for their current ADP, listen, this team, this is more about probably the team's ADP with their guys. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey, he's going. Where did I see him? He's going in the beginning of the seventh round, so the 74th overall pick, which isn't bad. It's not bad. You know, he'll probably end up being your third wide receiver, maybe fourth. So I suppose I'm more comfortable now with that ADP than I was when he was going in the fourth or fifth round. I wasn't buying that ADP. That one, okay, maybe I'll change my tune a little bit with that, because you know he's going to be, you know, the second target behind Zach Ertz, especially when he's healthy. He can make a difference. So, all right, I guess with that update in his ADP, I'll change my tune a little bit. But then you got the backfield for the Eagles. That's a whole nother mess. Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, Darren Sproles, Wendell Smallwood. I mean, his current ADP is 47 for Jay Ajayi. And you know he's going to be sharing that backfield. It's already been reported that it's going to be a committee back there. Was last year. It's going to be the same thing. And he's going ahead of guys like he's the 47th. So you got at the 50th overall pick Mark Ingram, 55th Marshawn Lynch, 56th Deion Lewis, 58th Carlos Hyde, Kerryon Johnson, Rex Burkhead, who I'm very high on. I'm high on Rex Burkhead. See, I would definitely take guys like Marshawn Lynch, Rex Burkhead, definitely even a Mark Ingram who's suspended for the first 4 games. I'd even grab him before I take my chances on a Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi is just going way too high for me. So I'm not going to advise you guys to draft him, and I certainly won't have him on any of my teams. Nope. No, thank you. My next team, these next 2 teams, I should say. Now, a lot of analysts will tell you that you're going to draft a guy at some point, regardless of their ADP, because, you know, if they fall far enough, you got to take them. And I'm not so sure about these 2 teams that I would do that regardless of how far they fall. Maybe one guy, and I'll go over that in a little bit. But the first team I want to talk about that I really can't see myself taking a single player off this team is the New York Jets. I mean, that team already has to play against the New England Patriots twice a year. So you know that those aren't going to be high-scoring games already. And just look at the crop of receivers they've got. Quincy Enunwa, who kind of flashed 2 years ago, then was hurt all of last season. Robbie Anderson, who knows what's going to happen with his off-the-field issues. I mean, if he stays out of trouble, if he doesn't face any suspensions and can stay healthy and all that, I mean, he is going at the 89th overall. So, which even that feels too high for me. And these guys, what are these guys going to be? You know, what are these? These guys have their best chance of being what? Maybe a low-end wide receiver too? That's their ceiling, I think. You know, maybe with some flashes of boom-type games. I know Robbie Anderson was a little more consistent last year. When you look at his numbers from last season, he had... when you look at his numbers from last season, you had Robbie Anderson... He had 63 catches, 941 yards, 7 touchdowns, which isn't bad. Especially on that team last year. Definitely not bad. But I'm not excited. I'm not excited to get him. I'll take him in the double-digit rounds, but really, it's about the only guy I'm going to trust here. Isaiah Crowell, I won't own him. I won't own anybody on that backfield. Certainly not Bilal Powell. No way. No way. And forget about the quarterback. You know, who the hell is even going to start? You know, if somebody emerges, great. I'll grab him off waivers and fill him in for a bye week. There ain't anybody else, though, really on this team. Robbie Anderson, I'll take back. Robbie Anderson's the only guy, depending on what happens with his off the field issues. That's the only guy that I'll consider grabbing in the later rounds. And the last team I'll go over is the Miami Dolphins. That's my real big busty team. Okay? And look, there's only one guy who I could consider maybe taking with the last pick in my draft. That would be Kenny Stills. But this guy's been in the league now. Let's see. He's been in the league since 2013. And his best season came in... I'd say probably his best season was maybe last season when he had 42 catches for 726 yards with the 9 touchdowns. He had a decent season with 58 catches, 847 yards, and 6 touchdowns. But that he wasn't a starting material. Because those were, flashes of, he had a nice big week this week and then disappears on you for a couple games. I can't stand that. You don't know when to start him. How can you start guys like that? Even with Ryan Tannehill coming back this year, are you guys excited for Kenny Stills? You can email me, nick@sleeperwire.com, or reach out to me on the Sleeper app at SWireNick. But I'm not excited for this offense. You got Kenny Stills, Danny Amendola's on this team now. They got rid of Jarvis Landry, which was so stupid. I don't get why they did that. They got rid of they got rid of Jarvis Landry. They still have Devontae Parker, who's been in this league now for, I think this is his 4th year. I think he's at the end of his rookie contract, and he just has done it. He hasn't put in the work to emerge as the guy there that they thought he could be. He was in the same draft class as Odell Beckham and Mike Evans, and he was just the one guy that just was a complete bust. And if you draft him this year, you're just aiming for failure. You're just going to be disappointed. It's just ridiculous. You look at his ADP right now. I wonder where he's being taken. Let's see. If he better not be taken high. That's all I have to say, because shame on you. Shame on you if you take him too high. It's a good thing I'm not seeing his name come up for a while. Unless he's higher. If he's higher than this, I'm going to be disappointed. Here he is. Okay. Yeah. 152nd overall, 13th round. Would I take him there? Beginning of the 13th round? I don't even think I'd take him there. He's just been that bad. He's that unreliable. All the reports from the training camp is that he just isn't putting in the work. And then you had, Albert Wilson, great. It's all junk at the wide receiver position on this team, in my opinion. Outside of, like I said, maybe Kenny Stills. And I already talked to you guys about Kenyon Drake on the last show. Look, we've seen it already. We've seen J.J. 2 years ago break out, as people thought, with the Dolphins. He's gone mid-season last year. Kenyon Drake breaks out. Now, maybe they're different guys. Maybe it'll be different for Kenyon Drake. But they brought in Frank Gore. They drafted Kalen Ballage. I see more of a committee here. And Kenyon Drake right now, his current ADP is, let's see, I think his current ADP is somewhere in the 4th round, 4th or 5th. I'll confirm that when I find his name. Yeah, Kenyon Drake is the 39th overall pick. He's going in about the beginning of the 4th round. Guys just behind him, Derrick Henry, Lamar Miller, definitely be more comfortable with guys like that. I mentioned Rex Burkhead before. I'd totally be more comfortable with taking Rex Burkhead over Kenyon Drake. I like his situation just a little better. But listen, this is another team. I won't take anybody from this offense, and I don't advise you guys to either. Look, the reason I'm doing this show is to tell you guys that if you want to succeed this year, I don't believe in taking guys from these teams. I think you guys will be setting yourselves up for unhappy seasons and losing records. Could be wrong. Maybe you land one of these guys like maybe you land Zach Ertz in the 6th round or something. That'd be a steal. You'd be happy with that. Maybe you get Kenyon Drake a little later and he does happen to have a great season. Sure, there's that possibility. You guys can tell me how wrong I am at the end of the season if some players from these teams emerge and do win you this season. I already have a few players I wouldn't be surprised about. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised about Kenny Stills and Robbie Anderson having better seasons than I'm thinking at the moment. And, Kenyon Drake, maybe he does emerge as the guy. But I'm at this point, I have to see it to believe it. And I'm not feeling it. Well, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you for joining me in today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully, I helped you guys out this week. I'm going to be bringing you more episodes like this where we're going to be talking about a lot of other fantasy topics. I'll be here for the regular season, helping you guys out, deciding on some waiver wire picks. We'll be going through some matchup predictions, tell you guys who to start, sit. Will be a lot of my opinions, and from time to time I'll have guests from the Sleeper Wire show make an appearance and talk with me about some of these things. So thank you guys for checking out this episode. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, anywhere you guys can download podcasts. Be sure to download the Sleeper app. It's a great app where we can all interact with each other. You can interact with some of my lovely co-hosts from the Sleeper Wire show. They will be on to talk to you guys and help you out, as well as myself at S-Wire Nick. That's S-Wire Nick. You can reach out to me, tag me, and ask me any question you'd like, and I'll be happy to answer and talk to you guys throughout the season. So please, guys, make sure to stay tuned throughout the season and look for these shows to help you guys win that fantasy championship. And one last thing before I get out of here. Please, guys, if you've heard about our cause, if you've heard about our cause with Rob, he's a dear friend of ours. He's got chronic Lyme disease. He needs your help to get the money he needs for his treatment. You can go to GoFundMe.com/RobJR. That's GoFundMe.com/RobJR. Or you can go to sleepwire.com where we have a lot more information about his story and how you can help get him the funds he needs to save his life. Alright, guys. Well, for Sleepwire, I'm Nick Sumrall saying so long, everybody.